Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report, and today's News and Rumors show is presented by Panda Supps. If anybody wants to feel like they're, 19, 20 years old again, use code TEST for 25% off at pandasupps.com. Get your hands on the brand new Test Booster. I've been using it now for probably a good 2 to 3 weeks, and I put on 5-10 pounds of good muscle. Trying to thin up a little bit for Cancun right around the corner. So coming up here on today's show, no Josh Jacobs extension. There is a report out. I will discuss it. Then PFF said that the Las Vegas Raiders should go out and they should sign free agent offensive lineman Dalton Risner. I'll give you my 2 cents on that. And then the Raiders' 2023 defensive rankings from Bleacher Report. They ranked all the teams from 1 to 32. Find out where the silver and black end up on that list. So let's go here to the main reason why you probably clicked on today's show. Josh Jacobs, the NFL leading rusher from a season ago. There has been some drama around number 28. There's no doubt about it. And Bleacher Report flat out said that Josh Jacobs will not get an extension in an article that was just released. I'm here to tell you this. It's only one just win, baby. I will confidently continue to go on this show and say I am a believer that the Raiders will do the right thing here with Jacobs, and they will get him a contract extension because deep down, McDaniels and Ziegler know that they can't tank for Caleb. They can't tank for Drake May. If they have a disastrous season, they won't have a job. Point blank, period. So if you're going to go out and you're going to get a quarterback like a Jimmy Garoppolo, and let's just say you don't put as much money maybe as what you should have on the defensive side of the football. You want to keep the defense off the field. You want to have your offense clicking on all cylinders, and personally, I really think that that's what McDaniels cares about. Does his offense run the way that it is supposed to run? I am a big-time believer you don't pay running backs. I'm a big-time believer that you can find running backs in the draft. They didn't get any running backs in the draft, and realistically, I get the fact that he wants a contract extension. McDaniels also said that he wants Josh to be a part of this team. I know for a fact that Josh Jacobs himself has said he wants to be a part of this team. He got it tatted on him for a reason. Jacobs and Ziegler's relationship, from what I understand, is very, very good. When it comes to Josh Jacobs, people freak out. Take a breath. I do still believe that this deal ends up getting done. However, this is what Bleacher Report did say on the Raiders star running back. While Jacobs has previously expressed hesitation about playing under the franchise tag, Raiders general manager Dave Ziegler and head coach Josh McDaniels cut their teeth with the New England Patriots, an organization that has famously shuffled through running backs rather than paying them long-term contracts. It would be a surprise if Las Vegas eschewed controversial wisdom and gave Jacobs the long-term contract he desires. So, the main question out there, and it's going to continue to be this one in regarding to Jacobs, are, will the Raiders give Jacobs an extension? I want you to give me a Y for yes, or I want you to type your N for no. And this is going to be the pinned comment on today's show, which means I need all of y'all to go to this video, scroll on down when you're getting hit with that YouTube ad break, and give me your 2 cents. Jacobs contract extension, yes or no? My answer is yes. This deal will end up getting done, and I do think it's for a multitude of reasons. Number one of the biggest reasons why I think it ends up getting done is because Jacobs wants it to get done. And you saw last year a lot of drama around extensions. They gave Renfrow an extension. They gave Waller an extension. You got the Carr extension done. And guess what? Well, Waller's gone. I think Renfrow ends up leaving. And Derek's not here either. The one thing that Ziegler has been able to do that he does not get nearly enough credit for is his flexibility with the contracts that he's able to draw up with some of these players. So to me, the contract extension that I will continue to show people in terms of Josh Jacobs is this. And the reason is it's structured a lot like a lot of the deals that the Raiders have already given out where it's more backloaded. So sure, you're going to give him $8 million this year. It's actually less than the franchise tag, which is what you want, because then the next year when the salary cap goes up, 15.2 doesn't seem like as much. But you guarantee this season, let's say you guarantee this one as well, and then he's got to earn 15.2. He's got to earn that one yet again. So you get a motivated Jacobs, you get a motivated Jacobs, and you get another motivated Jacobs. 3-year, $38.4 million is why I think that the Raiders end up getting this deal done. And I can't blame Jacobs for wanting to get paid. And people are like, the Raiders, they're not going to pay running backs because of what they did in the past in New England. Guess what they also used to do back in the old New England days? not go with a bell cow back. Jacobs was everything. He was a bell cow for this team, and the Raiders understand that. Now, if you haven't already joined the family, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you get those notifications turned on. That way, if Jacobs does get a brand new deal, you're here for the live show because we are going to party the shit out of that. There's no doubt about it. So news, rumors, we keep you updated. If you bleed silver and black, we're the channel for you. Let's go to the next story here on the Raiders Report presented by Panda Supps. The Raiders should sign Dalton Risner. Right now, he's a free agent, offensive guard. He's played previously college with Kansas State and then the Denver Broncos. My answer to this is the exact same thing I said with Jacobs. It is one just win, baby. If you are a new viewer, we have gotten probably close to over 2,000 new subs in the last 2 weeks because of the draft and all the content. This essentially means 25% chance in terms of I think it's a good idea. We get rumors from different sources all the freaking time, and that's just what media is. It's what social media is. It's what YouTube is. So I created the Raiders rumors meter, so anytime you see just one win, baby, it means I think it's a small shred of truth or I don't love the idea. So in terms of Risner, the reason why that we're talking about this is because PFF released an article, and it was titled, One Last Offseason Move for Every AFC Team. The last move that the Raiders should make, according to PFF, is going out and signing Dalton Risner. The reason why I don't love this idea is because Risner has only played left guard in his career. To me, if you're going to talk about what position the silver and black need, it's more of a right guard. And I'm not going to kick Dalton Risner into right guard because, well, that's not why I'm going to sign him. I'm going to sign him to play left guard because the only position he has ever played in his entire NFL career is left guard. So, instead of that, I'd rather just save my money and let's see what we got in a guy like Dalton Moody. Can we get another player because, I don't know, maybe like a McClendon Curtis, you see what he ends up getting. I would rather have one of those guys get a shot instead of going out and signing a left guard to play right guard. Does that make sense? This is what PFF had to say on why the Raiders should go out and get Risner. The Raiders added more receiving and blocking talent in the draft with tight end Michael Mayer, but otherwise invested fairly heavily in defense, which is understandable. Risner has been a consistent above-average blocker who excels in pass blocking, posting 4 straight years with a 69.5 plus pass blocking grade, which, yeah, that's pretty nice. Las Vegas needs to keep quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo clean, so adding Risner to the interior offensive line would go a long way. Plus, they could sell him on the chance to play his former team, the Denver Broncos, twice a year. I mean, if I'm being 100% honest with y'all, the easiest way that Risner could tell Jimmy Garoppolo to be clean is to not take advantage of the free sex that he's getting in Las Vegas. That's probably the number one way. The only way, though, I would say that Dalton Risner to the silver and black makes sense is if you cut Andre James, you save that $5-6 million, you invest that into the defensive side of the football, you kick Dylan Parham into center, and then you end up playing Risner at left guard. That's the reason why it's one just win, baby. If you do that plan below, that's what makes sense to me. If you're like, nah, that's not really what I'm trying to do, I would actually try to kick him in at right guard, that's not a smart investment to me. So I look at the Raiders' offensive line right now, and I like Andre James, but to me, if you're telling me I can get a Dalton Risner at left guard, I can kick Dylan Parham in at center, and then I'm going to use that money that I save with Parham, and who knows, shit, maybe you invest that into Josh Jacobs. Maybe you invest that into the defensive side of the football because I'm not going to break the bank on Risner. There's no way in hell I'm going to offer him more than $4 million a year because left guard is not a big-time need right now for this Raiders team. Instead, I'm not going to sleep on Dalton Moody. And I don't want Raider fans to do it either. The only reason why PFF thought this way is because they know the Raiders from a very surface level, right? Think about all the mock drafts you saw had Raiders taking offensive tackles, offensive linemen, but we sat up here, a lot of Raiders content creators, and said, that's not the way that this team's going to go. That's not the way that Carmen Basillo, Josh McDaniels, Dave Ziegler think. They like Dalton Moody. They also like McClendon Curtis, and honestly, man, I love this young man right here. I've been doing this show every single day for 3-4 years, and I go back and I think of all the UDFAs that the Raiders brought in. This might be one of my favorite UDFA signings that this Raiders team has had in a very long time. Also, another person, and I said right guard might have been the biggest need, Jermaine Illuminar, we interviewed him here live on the Raiders Report. I've talked to him. He's not crazy about playing right guard because he wants to prove to the NFL that he can play right tackle. Why? I mean, one, he's going to make more money if he's a better offensive tackle than being a guard, but he can play right guard. And then you have other options out there at offensive tackle, and right now the Raiders have a halfway decent amount of depth at offensive tackle. Another player that you should not sleep on is Thayer Munford Jr. Was he rough at times last season? Yeah, he was. He was a rookie, though. You give Thayer Munford another year with Carmen Brasillo, and you let him work in that system, I do think that Munford could end up being a pretty damn solid player, and it's more of me just simply believing in Carmen Brasillo and what he brings to the table. So Dalton Risner, good player, just not a big-time need for this Raiders team unless you do my plan of kicking Parham into center, then you throw Risner at left guard, and then you go save that money on Andre James, and you go either give it to Jacobs or you go spend it on some defense. Next thing coming up here on the Raiders Report, we're going to talk about defense, but you know what? Don't sleep on our awesome sponsor today. They are Panda Supps, and they are probably one of the best damn sponsors I've had on this show. They've been around for 2 years. Diehard Raider fan owns Panda Supps, and if you want to feel like, don't get me wrong, I'm 30 years old, right? I'm not that old, but there are days I wake up, I get out of bed, and my knees are all shitty, I'm tired, I don't feel like going to the gym. I remember when I was 19, 20 in college, I'd have a hell of a night. I'd be able to get up bright and early in the morning and go to the gym. Why? Because I had a lot higher testosterone. And I really want you all to try their brand new test product. And you can get it at pandasupps.com. Use code TEST for 25% off. It's an awesome ingredient. It's going to make your workouts. You're going to get a lot more out of your workouts. Your sex drive is going to go through the roof. Your libido's a lot higher, which helps build muscle. She's going to like it. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a product that makes you feel younger. It's like, sign me up for that. If you're also trying to lose weight, I wanted to talk to you guys about cuts because right now, probably the two products I use more than any other one, minus the protein, the test booster, and then the cuts. I'm trying to get into shape. I'm going to Cancun next weekend, so I figured test, cuts, try them all out. If you're not a pill taker, you can try the cuts as well. It's known as Burn. It is a thermogenic, it is a fat burner, and it is a great way where you can just sit at your desk at work, burn a few extra calories, and you're going to lose pounds. I'm talking pounds. I've lost 20 pounds in the last month, and that's no cap. Let's go to the final story here on the Raiders Report, and they got a bottom 5 defense. That's what they're going to have. They're going to have a bottom 5 defense. This is what Bleacher Report has put out there. I'm going to give this one 2 just win babies, and I'm going to say people are talking. And the reason why I can say people are talking is because I can look at all of you right now, and I can say, I can make a legitimate argument that this Raiders defense could be one of the worst defenses in the NFL. I can also make the argument that people are sleeping on this defense, and for the first time since 2014, basically, they could have a top 20 defense. So essentially the reason why we're discussing this is because Bleacher Report ranked their own little power ranking of every defense in the NFL after the draft, and the Raiders came in ranked at 28th. We know for a fact that Las Vegas, at least correct me if I'm wrong, made a bigger priority out of improving their offense rather than their defense this offseason. I'm not talking about just the draft. I'm talking about free agency, and I'm also talking about all the re-signings, and I'm talking about the players that they did also take in the draft. I like Tyree Wilson, but Michael Mayer is also a hell of a player as well. The Raiders put a concentration on it. That's what happens when Josh McDaniels is your head coach, right? So in terms of the worst defenses, according to the Bleacher Report, this is who the teams that the Raiders were better than. You had Arizona at 32, Rams, Vikings, and then the Bears. I do think that all these defenses will be worse than the Raiders. That I agree with. Arizona's not going to try. The Rams are kind of in full tank mode. Minnesota was bad last season. The Bears, they did add some linebackers, but the linebacker position to me is one that I'm, not too crazy about. The reason why Bleacher Report had them at 28 is this. The Las Vegas Raiders spent free agency turning over the roster and truly beginning the rebuild under Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler. The defense will feature new veteran faces through the additions of players like Marcus Epps and David Long Jr. Didn't exactly generate off-season headlines. Where the Raiders really struck gold was in the draft. Ziegler did tremendous work landing Tyree Wilson, Byron Young, and Jacorian Bennett, prospects who could develop into foundational pieces on that side of the ball. The unknown is how soon Wilson can get back to pre-injury foot form and how quickly the new pieces can gel under defensive coordinator Patrick Graham. There's potential here, but the Raiders probably won't see a big defensive jump until late in the season and in 2024. So I want honest answers only. That's what this show's about. I don't want cupcakes, butterflies, rainbows. I want real content. I don't take every single day to give you guys content and not give you my honest opinion. So this is the part where, you know what, if you don't think they're a top 20 defense, cool, tell me. If you think they're the worst defense, cool, tell me. I want to know, where would you rank this Raiders defense heading into the year right now? Right now, I'd probably put the Raiders defense closer to 23 or 24, and I'm not just wearing the jersey because of that. Huge shout out to one of the real ones here, Zane DeSavior, one of our MVPs from the draft. But I'm also saying that because that's what this defense is to me right now. I do think that the numbers were a little bit skewed from last season for the simple fact of people didn't give Patrick Graham nearly enough credit. And you saw that defense get better and better and better as the year went on. The problem is nobody was paying attention to it because everybody only wanted to talk about Derek Carr or the blown leads. But you got to think about it. Before major injuries, and when I say the major injuries, I'm talking about Week 17, Week 18, the Raiders had basically nobody on defense. But from Week 11 to Week 16, the Raiders allowed 18.3 points per game. That was second best in the NFL, behind only the San Francisco 49ers. So you saw the Patrick Graham system was starting to work. What happens if it goes on that train again and it starts working yet again and you get some of these younger players that step up? All it takes is for you to find a few diamonds in the rough and for everyone to start understanding that defensive scheme, because the thing that people forget way too often, when you go from a Paul Gunther, when you go from a Gus Bradley, and then you go to a Patrick Graham system, those three systems are so freaking different, it might take a year or two. Well, I have a little bit of confidence in Patrick Graham. I like the hire. I'm hoping it ends up working out, and that's why I'm going to always look at it glass half full. But in terms of selling it, I would say 23 right now. But don't be shocked if they find themselves into the top 20. Now, before we wrap up today's show, for those that do not know, you can win 2 Raiders tickets at blackoutdivision.com. We're going to put the links for you guys in the comments and the description of today's show. Jeremy Chugs and I will announce the winner when the Raiders schedule is released on Thursday. So keep an eye out for that. Hopefully you all are tuned in. Last year, we actually had the schedule out 30 minutes before the Raiders put it out, just from, I got a good team here at Chat Sports, and we got a lot of data crunchers back there working it out. So Chugs and I, we will be live on Thursday. It's going to be a special live show. We're going to be live for probably like 3-4 hours. We'll see how the night goes, depending how long it takes to get that schedule in. But make sure you're tuned in, and make sure you go check out the Blackout Division. Enter your email for a chance to win. And then who knows? Maybe you'll be sitting there, home opener, Raiders game. Sounds pretty good to me.